Friday. It's a crash out Friday. I'm back in black, as you can see, with the gold tie, got the hat on, black shirt. I know it's just experimentation. I have to. I'm in a position to throw stuff at the wall, see if it sticks. That's what my whole goal is to do. But I appreciate everybody that will possibly come through right now. Um, I want to talk about this artistry of Pablo Escobar's hippos. They're back in the news. They're back in the news. Whenever they're in the news, I have to cover them. I have to cover the cocaine hippos. Salute Dot Focus. I see you, sir. Salute to you. Good morning. I can't really type because it's a weird setup. I can't remember how to type. I think I can just type on the screen or something like that. I can't really remember. Is this it? Start a poll, start Q&A. Chat filter, community moderation. That just brought me nowhere. I'm not sure how to do it anymore. I haven't done this in months. Almost a year probably. Yeah, the hippos, the cocaine hippos. Drug czar Pablo Escobar, he commissioned to have African animals from that were flown from Africa to the United States, and he just picked whichever ones he wanted, and he said, I'm gonna do my own thing, aka my plug. Yeah, exactly, that's the plug. He got gunned down, sadly. I mean, not sadly, because I think he had murders against to his name, so I'm not really trying to boo-hoo or cry over Pablo Escobar. He wasn't that great of a human being, to put it lightly. And not because of the drug trafficking, it's because of the murders that have been assigned to his name. That's primarily the reason why. But yeah, so he had in his mind to say, look, I'm going to have hippos. I'm going to have, what, 3 or 4? And by the time he died, you're multiplying, and there's like dozens, I think now, maybe scores of hippos outside their natural habitat. They have no real predators. They're pretty much apex predators in the land of Colombia. They have their own system. They eliminate in the water, and that upsets the balance of fish that live in the water. But there's also a case where they eliminate, and in their dung grows hallucinogenic mushrooms. I can't make this stuff up, folks. I'm telling you the truth. This is all reality. Salute to everybody in rebroadcast land, by the way. This is all reality. This is all truth. I can't make this up. So I think with the idea of being able to furnish a different set of ideals, I think it's possible to further understand, why they are here, why they're in the Americas, why they have continued to multiply and grow. And also these artists are making these, great things. And even though photography isn't art, it still can be beautiful pictures. And that's what I think has arisen from this exhibition. That is, very interesting. It's such a weird and kind of cute. They're kind of cute, especially the baby ones. The cute little hippopotamuses. They're running around trying to do their thing, and people are trying to the whole exhibition is sponsored by a anti-drug kind of ideal, and it just is. As their population grows, so does the interest, and so does the creativity of artists grows. I don't have any videos. I can't do any videos on this. This is all just experimentation. I had 9,000 viewers from doing this before. I'm gonna have probably 6 viewers, and that's okay, 'cause I get money either way. Yeah. So the whole idea of the war on drugs, and then what we're doing with these boats that the federal government is destroying, and they're calling narco terrorists. What is a narco terrorist? The closest thing I remember being a narco terrorist was somebody that was growing poppies and supplying it for the Taliban there and Al Qaeda, and getting money. The farmers are getting money for growing poppies, and that was fueling terroristic activity. I get that. That makes sense. But I don't think it's the same thing with cocaine or anything like that. It's just they just want to control. They want to have regulations. They want to have taxes if it was ever legalized. They want to have only a percentage of what you can have. They only want you to have a certain amount of people that can be involved in the trafficking. It's all goofy. It's all goofy if you ask me. I mean, these artists are, some of the greatest in the world. I'm gonna see if I can see. I'm gonna say cocaine hippos. All right. So it's all in the Colombian culture that they should do this. So I think it's really incumbent upon the people of Colombia and elsewhere to really do it. So it's an ad loading right now. So I got one person. So it's like 1, then 0, then 1, then 2, 3, 0. I like how this works. Max Vision, Friday mornings with Skylar Saunders. Salute to Max Visions. Max Vision Films. Salute to Max Vision Films. We gotta link up. I gotta produce these screenplays. So there's 2 people in here right now. That's encouraging. So this is in Bogota, Florida. The failure of the war on terrorism. It's showing various artistry, paintings, sculptures. And the hippos end up living in Colombia, and their manure ends up being the waste of drug trafficking that is polluting the waterways. That's what I talked about earlier. A lot of their dung is polluting the water. They become a kind of mafia and juggler symbol. They're all symbolized that. They symbolize what happened because they belong to Escobar. This is one of his photographers. There's T-shirts on for sale. There's merchandise. It's amazing. Okay, we got 6 people here. See, we got a party. See, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. Let's get this party popping. It's Friday. I got 6 people in here. Let's get it to 60 people. Let's get it to 600 people. Let's get it to 6,000 people. Let's keep this thing pushing. Let's go. Let's do this. That's what I'm talking about. 6 people. That's good. That's a good sign. Anyway, so 8 people. Okay, here we go. Now we're really talking. Now we're really doing some numbers. Mira. Yo, bro. I'm not your bro, but thank you for coming through. I appreciate it. Now tell 200 other people about me. But yeah, so cocaine hippos. That's the history. Max Vision says, "Stop focusing on the people. Focus on the current. The people will come." Concept. You're telling the truth, Max Vision. I had to point it out. I had to point it out because that's the most I've had in a long time. So I just had to point it out. But thank you for that reminder. But yeah, so the content, of course, the content. The manufacture, production, sale, and consumption of scheduled substances has to be legalized. It has to be for the good of the world. And we're just like it's almost like we're children. Or like we really don't pay attention to history. We don't pay attention to history. We don't pay attention to the fact that there are people that don't have a clear distinction of whether they should say that there's going to be people that are going to be against it, but it should be for it. And like prohibition, we are in prohibition 2.0 with the drug trade, with the drug wars, with the war on drugs. We're in prohibition 2.0. That's what I was thinking of it as. And the same thoughts and ideas crop up and say, well, people will get hooked. And sure, people will get hooked. People are going to abuse it. Sure, people are going to abuse it. People are going to get, run down and lose their families and not. That's why there should be a rehab center on every corner. And it should be privatized and private use. And if somebody needs to get money, the money they were using to use drugs, they could be using it for the betterment of their lives and to reverse that. Drugs are supposed to be just amoral. They're not good nor bad. They're just what it is. It's how you react to those drugs, what you do to those drugs. If you are selling to kids, that's a problem. Anybody under the age of 17 or 18 should not be taking narcotics whatsoever. Not in any way, not in any form. I am totally against children taking drugs. But what I am for is for adults taking meth, heroin, cocaine, mescaline, everything that is scheduled, every drug that's been made. That's the possibility for this. And these artists have shown themselves to be aware of that. They're aware of the fact that they're aware of the fact that the cocaine hippos are a symbol. They symbolize luxurious nature, luxury, cocaine chic. Being able to spend massive amounts of dollars to get these different animals and have them aboard in a totally different setting and a completely different habitat. That's enthralling to me. That's enticing and exciting to me. Let's have that day come as quickly as possible. Let's have that day arrive. That would be a good thing, I think. That would make things make sense. That would bring, a different flavor to the whole, cocaine hippo ideal. So I'm just so worked up about it because it just really pisses me off the fact that there are not enough people that are proponents of legalizing drugs. And that's not to say that you should do drugs. They just should be legalized. That's the reason why we have a problem. Cocaine is cocaine again. Coke is coke again. Throughout the early 2000s into 2010s, it was stepped on. It had cut in it. It was not of fish scale quality. It was low down. It was low down. It was not good coke at all. But apparently, I've never used it. But nowadays, cocaine is back, and it's back in a major way, and demand for it is back in a major way. So I mean, what war are we waging? Who are the victories for? Who are the victors? Who has come out of this thing saying, "Yep, we seized over 10 billion tons of cocaine, and now they have 100 billion tons of cocaine coming in." It doesn't register. It doesn't register well. If you have so many different tons of cocaine coming into the United States, which has a high demand for cocaine, and that's the thing too, because that's somebody's life. That's a life. That's somebody saying, "I want to do cocaine. I see it on the table. I know it's going to mess up my life. But for this moment, in this time, it's going to make me feel like I'm on top of the world, Like I can run a Fortune 500 company. Like I can, be a super player on the field. It's gonna make me feel like that. That's gonna be amazing. You know, to have somebody say, "No, I don't want to do it. I'm not gonna do it. I know I can do it. I know it's legal. I know it's possible for me to do it, but I'm not gonna do it." See, that's what I want to get to. I want to get to that point. I want to get to that point where people are able to say, you know, they have an idea of what they want to do. That's the essence of free will. Free will, which I am a firm not believer, but an advocate of. I'm a firm advocate of free will. You're not determined. Your life isn't automatically planned out in a destiny or anything like that. You have the choices. Something's happened to you, and that's not always a good thing or a bad thing. Some things that are good happen to you. You get an inheritance of millions of dollars or billions of dollars. Something bad happens. You get SA'd or R'd. And that could be a devastating thing to you. Something happened to you. You didn't cause it to happen, but it happened to you. It's what you do beyond that. If you want to start a center, if you want to start a foundation to help out other victims of SA and R, that is up to you. That is your prerogative, and that's something that's good. That's a proactive statement. That's a objective and a proactive ideal to want to start something new, start something fresh, and go completely, in the direction of creating something special, creating something that's revolutionary. Have something that's you can just admire yourself and say, oh, I have to do this heroin because I'm feeling so bad about myself. I was SA'd, I was R'd, I feel so horrible. This is gonna make me feel better for like a few hours, and if you continue to abuse it, you're gonna get tracks on your arms like a railroad's, station, railroad tracks. I'm very serious about this. It's something that really pisses me off because I have to live in this world. I have to live in this world. I'm not committing suicide. I'm a fight. That's what goes on in my head all the time. I'm like, this sucks. I can't do much about it. What can I do about it? I can make some videos. I can write some articles. That's what I can do about it. That's my role. That's as far as it goes, though. I'm not a politician. I'm not the president of the United States of America. I'm not a judge sitting on the court. So we're just gonna crash out because it's a Friday, and this is an oddity. This is something that's not really serious news, but it can be serious because I can make it serious, like I said earlier, with the idea of there being a lane for drug traffickers and drug users to fully understand their role in this conflict, in this quote unquote war. So I just have to, really acknowledge that. I have to really show that. That's something that has to be said. And by the way, I have to say this. I'm not blinking as much. I'm using bright lights, but I'm not blinking as much. I don't know what happened, but I guess it was a tired moment. I don't know. I blink a few times now. But anyway, yeah, so hippo art, merchandise, sculptures, paintings, and non-art photography, but they can be still beautiful pictures of the hippos. It all signifies the ability for the mind to process what it really means to be a leader, a leader. You don't want to be just a follower. You can follow. There's nothing wrong with being a follower and then being a leader. That's the thing. You follow in order to be a leader. You don't just follow. You don't just be a blind follower of anything. You make a choice to follow something that's of credit and credibility, and you say, hey, look, I can do my own thing. I can blaze my own trail. Okay, YouTube is adding things that I didn't realize. Okay. But yeah, these hippos, man, these I just think they're on their own. They're animals. It's not their fault. They're just being mammals. They're just being, hippos. They're walking, they run down the streets of Colombia. They do all kinds of stuff. They have an understanding of, maybe not an understanding, but they have they perceive, their climate. They perceive their vegetation, their waterways, like I said, are being clogged because of their dung that is eliminated from them. It's a very interesting kind of thing, and the fact that they keep cropping up in the news. I mean, it has to be some kind of special thing for them to be able to be on the news scene. For artists to be inspired by the hippos, because I don't think from what I understand, there's no other place but Africa and the United States and maybe some zoos around the world that have hippos, but not free range, wild hippos. I think only Africa only has free range wild hippos. I could be wrong. Please correct my dumb ass if I'm wrong. But I think that's the only case. Colombia and places in Africa, in the continent, and in the country of Colombia. Excuse me. So, yeah, these hippos are they're minding their own business. They're doing their thing. They're eating some of the wildlife around them. There was a story of a photographer that was like a few meters away, a few feet away from Pablo and one of the hippos, and there was another hippo that like after the photo, just a few moments later, went and attacked a camel and ate it. So hippos are kind of cute, but they're vicious too. They're some nasty bitches. They can be some nasty bitches. They are some kind of something to be reckoned with. They're a force of nature. They're part of nature, and they're kind of cute. They're kind of cool. I mean, but I think there's an initiative to send them back to Africa. Go back to Africa. That's what I think is going to happen. That's what I think is going to occur. So that's what I think is actually going to happen with all this. So it's just a matter of time, really. I think it all comes down to a matter of time, whether these hippos will have more time in the sun of Colombia or be shipped back off to Africa. Because like I said, they are apex killers. They're at the top of the food chain. Nobody's messing with them. Lions, I think wildebeest eat them. I can't remember if wildebeest eat them. But I know lions and tigers and panthers, stuff like that. They will eat the hippos. They control the hippo population. But nobody's controlling the hippo population in Colombia. Nobody. The only ones controlling the hippo population are human beings. and they haven't, done too much over the past few decades to curtail the onslaught of hippo and Trent. What is it? What is it called? What is it? Encroachment. Encroachment against other wildlife animals. So that's just one to grow with. That's one to grow with. A lot of things that people say about hippos, a lot of things people say about whether they should be, locked up or put in cages or, just shown in zoos. That's another thing about zoos. Zoos are weird. Zoos are like, I don't know. The memories of zoos, I remember going to the Philadelphia Zoo, and it just kind of depressed me. I'm looking at these animals, they're just laying on rocks, just like, you know what? Do I have to be here? It just seems so depressing. It seems very sad. Then they get mad, then they get, people, clanging against the gate or the bars that separate them. And they're like, man, if I was just at home, I'd be much better. I never really liked the zoo. I like to go into the Franklin Institute. I like going to the Please Touch Museum. I like to go to, different things like that, like science and industry and stuff like that. And I thought that was interesting. But zoos are like a mixed bag for me. I was like, oh, that's cool. I got to see a lion up close. I got to see the elephants. That's awesome. But I just couldn't deal with it otherwise. But hippos. Yeah, hippos in Colombia. And the artists that created these paintings and these sculptures and just part of the culture. It reminds me of the narco songs. There's narco songs, and there's narco novellas. There's whole TV shows and soap operas, or coke operas really, about the narco trade, and of course there's the series Narcos. We're steeped in drug culture. I mean, Breaking Bad, The Wire. It's like some of the finest television series of all time have been centered around the drug trade. And many more. I just want to name two. So if we just focus on how well we can do to impart. See, there I go blinking again. I don't know. It's the lights. I know. I try not to. I'm really trying not to. I'm not gonna blink. I'm not gonna blink. It's not even. I'm not even conscious of it. I just blink a lot. But yeah. So in conclusion, I have to state that these hippos are not a nuisance. I wouldn't call them a nuisance because they're not. It's not like it's their fault. The nuisance is based on somebody that's making trouble for everybody because of their actions. These hippos are just doing stuff because they're hippos, because they're animals. They don't have any conception of reason or reality. They only have they only function on a perceptive level. So it's not their fault. They just got caught up in a situation they had no idea they were going to get into. They put themselves on to a plane of knowing what exactly they were doing, and that's a fact. They had no clue. They didn't say, oh wait a minute, I don't really want to be part of a drug lord's his personal zoo. I want to go back to Africa. They can't say that, they can't say all that. They can only say what is true to them in their minds, because they can't talk and they can't reason. So they only act on instinct, whatever goes on in their consciousness, if there's such thing as a consciousness for an animal. And that's the way it is. Salute to the artists, and I appreciate them for creating. All right, I gotta talk about a word. I usually have a word. Yesterday was silence. Today is irony. Irony, folks. Yes, irony. I got reprimanded for saying a word, the word drug, in front of children that are related to me. And they said you shouldn't use the word drug, and I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna argue. I'm not gonna be like, oh well. I was like, okay, sure, fine, Roger that. I'll use a different terminology, even though the word drugs literally just means a substance other than food that alters your chemical processes in the body. That's all the drug means. That's all that it means. It's nothing nefarious. Now you go down three entries, then it starts saying things like narcotics and illegal or illicit drugs and stuff like that, or illicit substances or something like that. And that's it. But my point is, what is worse, to hindrance a mind of a young person, to tell them that there is a God in the sky, tell them that there is some form of being, and that his son came down, bled, and died on a cross to save their sins? Which is more damaging and more of a hindrance, do you think is? Saying the word drugs, or telling these children that God and all these things exist? What is more horrific? And what is more, of a hindrance? What stops more children in their tracks? I mean, I hear that they're saying their grace. They say their grace. They just run through it because they're children. They'll get to an age where they're saying they have to say it, and they're going to take it seriously, and it's going to be part of. They're going to understand that there's going to be some kind of rituals and things, and they'll further. It'll be compounded like soil, like sediment, like soil, kind of like how fossil fuels are produced. It's just going to be layer upon layer upon layer upon layer, and it's going to just come to a point where the oil or the ideas will just formulate and say, there is a God. I know there's a God, and he's real. He's the truth. I love him. He loves me. It's great. Everything's wonderful. I'm not going to hell. I'm going to heaven. Hell is for people that are bad, and that there's going to be smoke and fire and torment and torture and ugliness. And heaven is going to be great because there's going to be people that I loved, and people that there's going to be Jesus. And all we're going to do is worship his name all day long, and there's no night, and everything is great. It just galls me. I'm like in awe. I'm like in complete, it's a weird understanding. It's a very strange understanding to contemplate that, to really think about it. It's very strong. Hold on, let me see something. Let's see something else. Orientation is live. I had to see something. All right, but yeah, so irony. The irony of what is, acceptable, but what is not acceptable. Oh, it's acceptable to say that there's Jesus and God and hallelujah and thank you. Make sure you say your grace to nothing. There's a zero, a negative. And that's the thing. People say, I'm not called upon, to say that there isn't a God. Well, you're never called upon to prove a negative. That's a fact. And God is a negative. But these kids, they don't know what God is. They don't know what Jesus is. They don't know what that is. They're going to get to an age, it's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, somewhere around that era. And they're going to understand better what it means to know what Jesus is, what God is. And it's going to be solidified by that time. Like I said, like the layers of sediment. It's going to be solidified. And they're going to be able to say that there is a God. They're probably going to get tattoos saying Jesus is my God and what would Jesus do and all these different things. And it's very sad. It's very sad. But it's not my kids. That's all I'm saying. Ain't my kids. I love them to death, but they ain't mine. Shoot. They can do whatever they want. I'm never going to say anything against to get to the point of like when they're like 22 years old, maybe. And by the time they're 22, I might start saying, you know what? There's this thing called atheism. There's this thing called objectivism. There's this thing called rationality. There's this thing called uh, purpose. There's a thing called productiveness. There's a thing called pride. All those things are very, you know, very important to where we are. So I just have to just state that irony is a powerful force in my world. Just to be reminded, how I can't say the word drugs, which is a new. There's drug stores, there's druggists, there's all kinds of things. What's the difference? I mean, it's only by connotation and not denotation. So they say I'm on drugs. Okay, know what that means. Well, what drugs is he on? Psych drugs. Why is he on psych drugs? Because he's crazy. That's what it's like. You know, that's what it's like. You know, just to have that, you know, sensibility about oneself. You know, but it's a greater hindrance. I spent 16 years as a Christian. 16. By the time I knew I was 3 years old, and I was saying where I go, instead of everywhere I go, Jesus is with me. I would say where I go, and we're at 0 by now. But anyway, I know Max Vision Films is like, stop focusing on the people, focus on the content. The people will come. Yeah, when will the people come? Max Vision Films was at 0. But anyway, I got to keep rolling on. Yeah, so you can have your Jesus and your God, like any other group. They can have their Islam, they can have their Muhammad, they can have Allah, or whatever the case may be. They have Buddha, they can have Hindu, all these different things. All these, and the amount of, oh my God, the amount of a wizard salute. No more Wizard of Oz mode, huh, man? Well, I'm just experimenting. I'm throwing everything against the wall and seeing if it sticks. I'm the one that does that. I'm experimenting, running it back. The man in black hat, black shirt, gold tie. You can see the man behind the curtain. I don't know what it looks like on your screen, but I think there's two black. Are there two black bars on the side, Wizard? I think there's two black bars on the side. So appreciate it, Wizard. Appreciate you. I got up to 9 people so far. I know I shouldn't be focused. Max Vision is gonna yell at me, but I got up to 9 people. This was so amazing about this vertical setup. Wizard says you gotta do multiple shows. Yeah, I think I will do. I did multiple shows in the past, but are you talking about like in a day? Do like two shows a day? I might do that. Again, I've done that in the past. I had one in the morning, like in the afternoon, and the one at night. But I gotta schedule myself because I'm not gonna try to run into Mr. Troy Star Terrain's his show. Because obviously, if you got a dinghy and he's got a yacht, you're not gonna get too many people. You're not gonna get too many viewers. So there's people that are gonna be like, nah, I'm gonna watch Star, I'm good. And I completely understand that. He's more polished, he's got more experience, wisdom, and knowledge than I totally understand it. That's just reality. That's just the truth. I mean, I'm great. I'm really good. I had videos with 6,000 views, 8,000 views, 9,000 views. I'm really that guy. I'm good. I'm proud of myself. I pat myself on the back. But I have no what do they call it? Sponsor, other than my main sponsors. I have no other sponsors, and I don't have any co-hosts. I don't do interviews. I don't have any phones. And I made all of that by myself. So I appreciate me. And I'm glad about my own abilities. Wizard says, you dropped the ball on that Sebastian's bat. I did not drop the ball, but that's a good pun story. People got thousands of views. Well, again, there's not a lot of news, outlets that have the video. I might start doing this more and start doing the Sebastian Telfair stories like that, because I have no way to do video. There's just me and the screen. So I have to look into that. But I wouldn't say I dropped the ball, but that's a good pun, a Sebastian Telfair pun. Rick James, ladies and gentlemen, he's back, and his face is his back, and Black Man is back. His name is Skylar Saunders Seas, and he's back live from the Blue Room, and presented by Kelly Blue Book and Snapple. It's morning. Salute to Rick James. Salute to Rick James. I appreciate it, sir. Appreciate it. But yeah, irony. Irony is the word of the day. Yesterday was silence. Today it's irony. When you have little kids, little children, and they're indoctrinated, not educated, but indoctrinated by the blood and the sacrifice and the selflessness and the unselfishness. And they know it's not true. You're at an age where you know that's not true. And the thing is, they think like, if you're being selfish, you're being childish or something like that. Not the case. You can be childlike, and that's something to be admirable. But if you're a child under the age of 5 and you're still trying to figure out the world and you're being indoctrinated with faith, that's I mean, I wouldn't classify it as mental abuse, but it runs really close. It runs very close to it. To me, it runs kind of close to formal, intellectual abuse, because you're putting these ideas in their minds. It's brain sullying. I know. Who was it? Aldous Huxley or George Orwell? Who said brainwash? I think it was George Orwell. He said brainwashing, but it's really not washing. It's brain sullying, because you have to have a clean mind. You have to be sane. That's where the word sane came from. And what do you do to clean something? You wash it. So you wash your brain. That means you're brainwashed. That means you're clean. That means you're sanitized. That means that you're sane. That's a good mark. But if your brain's sullied, that means you have a dirty mind. That means you have a filthy attitude. That means you have a disgusting and nasty way of thinking. So it's not really brainwashing. I like to say it's brain sullying instead of brainwashing. But yeah, Sky back on camera because Rick James not there anymore. I don't understand what you're saying, Wizard. What do you mean? Sky back on camera because Rick James not there anymore. What? What are you alluding to? I'm slow. I'm stupid. What are you trying to say? I don't know what you're saying, Wizard. Explain it to me like I'm a 5-year-old. Like I have to, keep from saying, that the Lord's Prayer and grace and all these things that they're gonna learn, and they're gonna go to church, and they may not go to church, but they're gonna be spiritual, like everybody else says. Oh, I'm spiritual. I don't go to church, but I'm spiritual. Whatever the hell that means. Oh, Wizard's laughing at my dumbass now. While you're laughing at my dumbass, make sure you bring in like 10, 12 other people or something like that. That'll really be a laugh riot. Then they can all laugh along. But yeah, irony is the word of the day. It's super ironic how I can't say the word drugs in front of them, but I can get to say, Jesus loves you. Like that's to me is horrendous. That is horrific. Where are urban topics? Well, this is the topic is on my mind. I'm just doing a very selfish, endeavor right now. The urban topic. You dropped the ball. I'm not dropping any balls. Pause. I'm saying what is on my mind, and I'm saying what I wish to see have somebody be on a live talking about. That's what I like to do. If I mean, there's some cases where I will go on the mainstream idea, the topic, but the first thing I saw in hip hop news was Cardi B had her baby. I'm not into that. I'm good. I'm not. I'm all right. And he's like, oh, okay. He's tired of my dumb ass. He's like, yeah, whatever, nigga. But yeah. And also, Wizard, you can have your own. There's nothing stopping you from having your own video. You're live. I would watch it. You can cover as many urban stories as you wish on your own live. Nothing stopping you from doing that. You have free range over this. Let me see what I can do though. I'm looking at the ask a question option. I'm looking at it right now. All right, so I just started a poll. I don't know where to put it. No, okay, whoa, that poor baby. I hope it isn't breastfed because Cardi B's milk has gone bad. No lives. I'm just reviewing the products I buy. Recently got scammed for eBay item. That sucks. %. Yes, it's ironic, right? I cannot, impart on them and say, look, there is no God. There is only reality. There's only truth. This whole mystical idea has been perpetrated for the past few millennia. We need to stop it. We live in a 21st century technological world, and we have a first century morality. That's an issue. That's a problem. I got a MacBook off eBay, but isn't it ironic, don't you think? I got a MacBook off eBay, but it has a few scratches. See, that's the problem. That's sad. That's what can you do with that though? Can you either return it or get a refund or something like that? What can happen? But anyway, I just think it's the grand irony. That's the grand irony all the time. Billions of people believing in something that doesn't exist. Yeah. Not even just believing, putting their lives, putting their whole livelihoods, putting their whole, existence on something that doesn't exist. And then there's like the cynics. There's like the people that, yeah, I don't really believe in God, but I think there's some kind of higher power or something like that. Well, the only higher power I can think of is the United States federal government. That's a higher power. The Bible is the divine comedy, sir. Well, I don't know if it's the divine comedy, but it's completely corrupt, and it corrupts the minds of the youth, of young people. Their parents have been put on. It's been put on them by their parents, parents, and their parents' parents. And the irony of it all is that mostly black people are like 95% Christian in the United States of America because they were taught in slavery. You have to think about this good book. You have to think about this word. You have to understand this is the Lord's God's word, and you have to respect your master, and He is the one that cares for you, that provides you your food and clothing, and allows you to have work. I mean, it's just amazing. It's just that's ironic. That's super ironic. God lives through us all, my boy. Okay, well, that's not true. That sounds cute. That sounds very hot, but it's not the facts. You have no evidence. Sir, because your dad is a preacher man, does he get a madman when he hears your opinion on Mrs. Not anymore. When he first be in, this is just a few years that he's been a preacher. I wasn't raised as a preacher's kid. It wasn't until I was an adult that he became a minister. So it wasn't like I was a younger person. He was devout. He was in the church, and he believed, but he wasn't a minister. So he doesn't really get miffed anymore. He doesn't really. We don't talk about it. It never really comes up as much, So I have to recognize that. I just find it to be absolute irony, super irony. They're hindering them. They're damaging them. I'm just calling a spade with a spade a spade. It is what it is. Drugs are drugs. You can't. That's why there's a drug store. That's why there are druggists. That's why if you want to have the full word, pharmacy or pharmaceutical, a lot of letters and a lot of syllables. When he takes you to church, do you sing the sings? Sing the sings? I don't sing the sings. I just do my two-step. And I just roll with the music. I don't sing the sings. I know what you meant. Sing the songs. No, I don't sing the songs. So 3 votes. 3 votes is totally ironic. I think it is ironic. And apparently you guys do too, because it's amazing. It's just amazing how they're gonna grow up. If they ask me by the time, like, I have to wait till they're like 18. I'm not gonna say anything. If they say anything like, "Oh, Uncle Scott, I heard you're an atheist" or something like that, nope, nope. Go ask your mama. Go to your mama. Go to your mama. Go. No, no, no. No. I'm not talking about it. I'm not bringing it up. Nope. Not bringing it up. Not bringing it up. So, no, I'm far removed from that. Far removed from any discussion, any discourse regarding God, the belief and faith and all that. Not until they're 18. Then I can talk to them. But it'll be an injustice, and it'll be futile if I were to do that. I'm just gonna be like, go ask your mama. Go ask your mama. I said that to her when they were first born, and I'm not gonna put that on them. I'm not gonna say anything about atheism. I'm not gonna say anything about objectivism. I'm not gonna say anything about objective hate. I'm not gonna say anything about proactivism. Any of that. I am, just focused. Rick James says, when I was living under a bridge in the 80s, I met a group that were studying in the Church of Satan. Fact. Wow. I don't know if you even saying that as a fact. Because I can't tell with you anymore, Rick James. Sometimes you be saying stuff and it be like off the wall and I can't believe you. But sometimes you be on point. So I don't know where to go with that. But who was the leader of the Church of Satan? What was his name? LaVey? something LeVay. But they just they're just gonna have to figure it out on their own. I might guide them once they get to a certain age, once they get to 18, something like that, 17, 18. I can tell them, okay, this is real and this is not real. This God, Jesus, all that, not real. Jesus might have walked the earth, but his influence is only on a level that was, Anthony LeVay. Thank you. Anthony LeVay. I was gonna say Adam. Anthony LeVay, yeah. But yeah, so I just it just really it's partially empowering because I'm waiting for that day when they do get to the age where I can say, look, I'm an atheist. I don't subscribe to what your parents subscribe or what your grandparents subscribe or virtually everyone around us subscribes to. I'm my own individual. I'm my own man. I've come across this by myself. Nobody. This is another thing. I'm bragging. I'm boasting. This is qualified boasting. I never had anybody hold my hand and say, look, and I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying, just for me. Nobody held my hand and said, look, you got to look up, objectivism. You got to look up Ayn Rand. You got to look up all these different ideals. Nobody did that. I had to do this all on my own. I did this, and this is why it probably took so long. It was in 2015 when I was first introduced to Ayn Rand's ideas. It wasn't until what was it? Not 2015, not 2005, excuse me, not 2015. 2005, and it took till 2007 for me to finally say, okay, that's it. Because of the books, Objective Hate and the Virtue of Selfishness. Don't brainwash those kids like Star did to you. Once again, it's not brainwash, it's brain sullying, and what I would do would be brainwashing. Because that's the thing. What do you think the words sanitarium, sanity, sane, all that, what does all that mean? Clean. It means health. It means, sanitation. It's cleaning. It's creating something that's good. So that's you're washing. You're washing things clean. You're sanitizing. So that's the best way to say it, is the brain sullying, but I wouldn't be brain sullying. I'll be telling them the truth, and they wouldn't be kids by the time I told them the truth. They'll be adults. Like I said many times before, they'll be in their 17th or 18th year, and I'll be telling them, look, I know all your life you had this whole idea of Jesus and God and the scriptures and the Bible and all these different rituals and things like that. None of that matters. None of that is true. None of that is real. None of it. It's not true. So that's why I think about this. I had to get this off my chest. I had to voice this to the world because I just think it is just complete and utter nonsense. It's utter nonsense. That's ironic and disturbing. It's utter nonsense and it's ironic and it's disturbing because there's no reason for it. There's literally no reason. No reason is involved. I can't say drugs, but you can say tell them to recite their grace before they eat their meal. Who are they saying their grace to? To what entity? To what physical entity are they saying their grace to? And even that, even if it was the sun, that'd be improper. Even if it's something like the moon or the spoons in the dishwasher, things that are tangible or are readily understood to be real within the context of truth. But I digress. Hey, look, I appreciate everybody that came through on this particular broadcast. I think I'm gonna get a few more views than normal. I do appreciate you all. So I'm gonna have to go. If I can get this right. Okay. Wait a minute, what? I'm still figuring this thing out, folks. Give me a moment. All right, this is goofy. Okay. All right, thank you again. I appreciate you. Salute some time. Tomorrow I will be here, probably back in black. So I'm just going to test this thing out, and I will see you sometime tomorrow. Take care.